Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Kamarul Arifin. If you are new to my channel and would like to support my work, please subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell so that you will be notified with any new videos published. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up by clicking on the like button below, and do share this video with your friends so that they can also get the information presented in the video. So guys, let's continue with our discussion on Unit 8, Mathematics of Retailings. Okay, for your information, this is the second video on these topics. So last time we have looked through, in the first video, we have looked through the concept of Mathematics of Retailings. And then for this video, we're going to discuss on some of the examples presented in the slide presentation that is available in my course websites. Okay, without further ado, let's just continue with the discussions on problem solving related to the topics of mathematics of retailings. That is unit 8 in our syllabus. All right. Okay, let's look at the first example here. So in this case, it's stated here the talent company Syndram Berhad bought 20 coffee makers at 110 ringgit each. They wanted a gross profit of 45% based on the selling price, and the total operating expenses was 500 ringgit. So the first question asks you to find the selling price of a coffee maker and then find the net profit for a coffee maker. The third one is to find the break-even price for a coffee maker. And lastly, they ask you to identify whether the company gain profit or incur loss if they manage to sell 12 coffee makers at regular price, but the rest of the coffee makers, they have to sell it at a 50% markdown. Okay, so in order to solve this problem, first of all, let me remind you, whenever you want to solve problems related to these topics, so read the question carefully, whether they ask you to find for a unit or for a total. Okay, for example, in this case, if you look through the first question here, it says that find the selling price of a coffee maker. So the word a there refer to that you are looking for the price for a unit, not for the total of the 20 coffee makers. Okay, so that is what you need to really be careful with the questions. Okay, so basically in this case, you can see that the given information here, the coffee maker is priced at 110, was bought at 110 ringgit each. So that means the cost price for each coffee maker is 110 ringgit. And then they sell it at a gross profit of 45% based on the selling price. And also the total operating expenses is given in the form of a lump sum value, that is 500 ringgit. So be careful here, the 500 ringgit of the operating expenses is actually for the 20 coffee makers. So if you want to find the operating expenses for a single coffee maker, then you have to divide the value with 500. So let's continue with the solutions. So the first one asks you to find the selling price, and you know that the first thing that you are given there is in the question is that the cost is 110 ringgit. So this is for a unit, and also the markup or the gross profit is given by the percentage of 0.45 or 45% of the selling price. So we replace the selling price with the symbol SP. And then you have the operating expenses to be 500 divided by 20, that is 25 ringgit for each coffee maker. So in this sense, we are dividing the operating expenses, the total operating expenses, with 20, since the question asks you to find the selling price for a coffee maker, for a single unit. Okay, so once you have all this information available, so you know that the selling price formula is given by C plus M, that is the cost plus the gross profit or the markup, and replacing the cost with 110 and the markup value or the gross profit with 0.45 SP, and solving for SP, you get SP to be 0.55, that is by taking 1 minus 0.45. So you get 0.55 SP equal to 110 ringgit. And finally, evaluating this formula, you get the selling price to be equal to 200 ringgit. So that means each of the coffee maker will be sold at 200 ringgit. Okay, that is the original selling price. The second question asks you to find the net profit. So remember that the gross profit is simply equal to the operating expenses plus the net profit. So in this case, the gross profit is given by 0.45 SP. So which means that the markup value or the gross profit is simply equal to 90 by taking 0.45 multiplied with 200 ringgit, the selling price. So substituting this value in the gross profit formula, that is NP plus OE, okay, you found that the net profit is equal to 65 ringgit. Okay, so that is the answer for the second part. The third part asks you to find the break-even price, and the break-even price is given by the formula cost plus the operating expenses, that is C plus OE. So substituting this value into the formula and calculate the formula and evaluate the formula, you get the break-even price to be equal to 135 ringgit. So that is the answer for the break-even price. The last part of the questions asks you whether the company will gain profit or loss. Okay, at this stage, actually, the first thing that you have to do is to identify what is the revenue. So in this case, how much that the company get from selling of the coffee makers. And it's stated that 12 of the coffee makers can be sold at the regular price, 200 ringgit each. However, the rest, that is 8 coffee makers, have to be sold at a reduced price. Okay, at a reduced price, which is 50% of the regular price. So 50% of the regular price give you the new selling price for the 8 coffee makers to be RM 100 ringgit each. So that means 12 coffee maker will be sold at 200 ringgit and 8 coffee makers will be sold at 100 ringgit. Okay, so to find the basically based on the formulas, you have the net payment or net profit. Okay, for the whole item is simply equal to SP minus BE. So that is actually the total amount sale. Okay, the total amount sale minus the total cost. Okay, so the total cost here is the cost of the product itself, including the operating expenses. That is the break even. So taking the total selling price, so that is 200 times 12 plus 100 times 8, you get 3,200, and then the total break-even price for the 20 coffee makers will be 135 times 20, you get 2,700. So in this case, you get the NP to be equal to 500. So this is a positive value. So whenever you have a positive value over here, when you take the difference between the selling price and the break-even price, and in this case the total selling price with the total break-even price, so you get a positive value. So this tells you that you are gaining a profit of RM 500 ringgit. So this gives you the answer for the last one. So that means the company gain profit of 500 ringgit. Okay, so the next one is a questions related to buying a refrigerator. So in this case right now you have to be very careful. Let me just give you some ideas what you have to be careful with this kind of questions. So it says here that a retailer bought a refrigerator listed at 1,200 with a trade discount of 20%. He then sold the refrigerator with a 10% net profit on the selling price. Operating expenses were 5% based on cost. So find the selling price of the refrigerator. And second one, find the markup rate based on the selling price. So you are asked to find the selling price and the markup rate based on selling price. So what you need to be very careful here whenever you want to identify the cost of the refrigerator. So if you look through this one, the 1,200 ringgit is not actually the cost because this is the listed price and you have a trade discount given on the purchase of this refrigerator. Okay, so in this case, this is a combination of the previous chapter with the Unit 8 Mathematics of Retailing. Okay, it's combined the trade discount chapter with Mathematics of Retailing chapter. All right. So in this case, you have to be very careful if you come across this kind of questions. Okay. Other than that, it's all the same. The refrigerator will be sold at a 10% net profit on the selling price, and the operating expenses is 5% based on cost. Okay, let's look at how we can solve this problem. Okay, the first thing that you need to identify is that you need to find the net price. Why you need to find the net price? Because you have a trade discount rate given in this situation. So NP here is actually the net price, so is given by the list price 1 minus D, where D is the trade discount rate. So substituting the list price with 1,200 and then multiply with 1 minus 0.2, that is 20% trade discount. So you get the answer to be 960 ringgit. So the net price is actually 960 ringgit. So in this case, the cost is equal to 960. So to solve the problems, once you have found the cost to be 960, then you can find the net price, the net profit. So the net profit is given by 10% of the selling price. So that means you can substitute the net profit will be 0.1 times SP. Okay, so that is the net profit in term of in the form of selling price. Okay, the 10% of selling price. And you also given that OE, the operating expenses, is simply equal to the to 5% of the cost. So that means 0.05 multiply with 960. So you get the operating expenses to be equal to 48 ringgit. Okay, with that information given and found from the previous calculation for the net price, you can now find the selling price by using the general formula C plus OE plus NP, that is cost plus the operating expenses plus the net profit. So bear in mind here the NP here is not the same as the NP in the top. So the NP in the top is net price, but NP, the second NP, referring to the net profit. So it is the different things. All right. So bear in mind with this thing. So if you don't want to confuse between these two symbols, just write the whole terms. Okay, NP for net price and then the second NP for the net profit. All right. So substituting the information, so you substitute C with 960, OE with 48, and NP equal to 0.1 SP. And then solve for SP, you get 0.9 SP equal to 1008. So finally, you found that the selling price to be equal to RM 1120 ringgit. So that's all for the first part of the questions. Okay, for the first part of the question, that is finding the selling price. The second part of the question is to find the markup rate. So in order to find the markup rate, first you need to find the markup value. And the markup value is given by the difference between the selling price and the cost, which is 1120 minus 960. So you get the markup value to be 160. Okay. Okay, so once you have this value, so to find the markup rate based on the selling price, you have to take the markup value that you have just found just now divided by the selling price. Why divide by the selling price? Because you want the markup rate to be based on the selling price. And then you multiply with 100% to convert it into percentage. So finally, once you have substitute the correct value and calculate the formula, so you have the markup rate based on the selling price to be approximately 14.29%. Okay, so that completes our solution for the second example. Now let us move to the third example. Okay, in the third example, okay, this is similar to the previous question, but a little bit more trickier because it has more informations, not just the trade discount, but also it is a combination with the cash discount also. Okay, so it says here Steven purchased a few set of Corel kitchenware on 18 August 2013 with a total list price of 4,800. The trade discount given was 10%, while the cash terms were 315 and 30. He then sold the kitchenware and made a gross profit of 20% of the selling price, and then the operating expenses were 5% of the selling price. So the first question asks you the amount paid by Steven on the 1st September 2013. Okay, and then find the selling price, the break-even price, the net profit, and lastly the maximum markdown rate without incurring any loss. Okay, first of all, in this case, as I mentioned earlier, this is similar to the previous question whereby you are given the list price and a trade discount. But in this case, instead of just giving you the trade discount, they give you the cash terms. All right. So let's see how we can solve this problem. So the first part is to find the amount paid. So that means the amount paid after deducting the trade discount and any cash discount if applicable. So in order to identify if there exists any cash discount entitled, so the first thing that you need to do is to calculate the number of days payment being made. So the invoice date is 18 August and payment is made in the 1st of September. So the duration here is approximately 14 days. Okay, it has 14 days. So since it has 14 days, payment is being made on the day of the 14th day. So he is entitled for the 3% discount because the 3% discount is for the first if payment is made within the first 15 days. All right. So right now, so you have the 3% discount, cash discount, and also the trade discount that is given automatically. Okay. So finding the net price or the net payment here, so you can use the formula NP plus LP 1 minus D1 and 1 minus D2. So in this case, the D1 referring to the trade discount and the D2 referring to the cash discount 3%. You can also replace the D2 with C if you don't want to confuse with the symbols. Okay. And here there's no AD because additional charges, because there's no zero additional charges, no handling charge, no transportation, and so on. Okay. So substituting the correct value, so you have the list price to be 4,800, and then the trade discount is 10% and cash discount 3%. So you found that the the net payment will be 4,190.40. Okay, so this is the first the answer for the first question, finding the amount paid. Okay, so the second part asks you to find the selling price. Okay, so in this case, based on the previous answer on the amount paid, so the amount paid right now is actually the cost for calculating the selling price. So the cost is 4,190.4, and it's given that the markup value or the gross profit is 20% of the selling price. Okay, 0.2 SP, and the operating expenses is given by 0.05 SP, or simply 5% based on the selling price. So given that you know that the selling price is just equal to C plus M, the cost plus the markup or the gross profit. So substituting the information available, so you have C equal to 4190.4 plus 0.2 SP, and solving for SP you get 0.8 SP on the left side. Okay, so moving the 0.8 to the right hand side, it becomes divided by 0.8. So you found that the selling price to be equal to 5,238 ringgit. Okay, so that is the selling price of the items, right? So the next one is to find the break-even the break-even price. The break-even price is given by the formula C plus OE, cost plus the operating expenses. So the cost is 4,190.4 plus the operating expenses is simply 0.05 SP, that is 5% of the selling price. So you multiply 5% with 5238 and add to the cost 4,190.4, so you get the break-even price to be equal to 4,452.30 cents. Okay, so that is the answer for the break-even price. Okay, the fourth question asks you to find the net profit, and the net profit based on the gross profit formula is actually the operating expenses plus the net profit. Okay, the gross profit is actually operating expenses plus the gross profit, the net profit. So that means the net profit can be found by the gross profit or the markup minus the operating expenses, and the markup here is given by 0.2 SP, that is 20% of the selling price, minus 0.05 SP, that is 5% of the selling price. So here you get 0.15 SP, or 15% of the selling price. So substitute the value of SP with 5238, you get the net profit to be equal to 785.70. Okay. All right. So the last part of this question asks you to find the maximum markdown percent. So to find the maximum markdown percent, first of all you need to find the maximum markdown value, and the maximum markdown value can be found by taking the difference between the selling price with the break-even price. And then to get the rate, you just need to divide this value with the selling price. Okay, so in this case, taking the difference between the selling price and the break-even price, you get the difference to be 785.7, and then divided by 5238, the selling price, multiplied with 100%. So you have the maximum markdown percent rate to be equal to 15%. Okay, so that is the solution for the last part. Okay, note here, you can also find the maximum markdown percent directly without any calculation. Okay, without any calculation. Okay, this is a special case. if you know that the net profit is based on selling price. Okay, if you know that the net profit is based on the selling price, not on the cost, then you can determine that the maximum markdown percent will be the same as the net profit percentage on selling price. Okay, so this is true if you check the answer in part 5 with part 4, it gives you the same result, right? So if you look through here, so you have the net profit to be equal to 0.15%, 0.15 of SP, right? So which means that the net profit is actually 15% based on the selling price. Okay, 15% based on the selling price. So note that the percent markdown maximum also is 15%. So that is why I said just now, if you know that the net profit is a percentage based on the selling price, then you know that the maximum markdown percent also will take the same percentage. All right. So that is a certain tricks that you need to know in order to answer this question. But if the net profit is based on cost, then it's not directly. Okay, you have to calculate using the uh, solution that I have just shown you here. Okay, but if it's in the form of based on selling price, then you straight away you will know that the net profit is equal to 15%. You just said, okay, the net profit, the maximum markdown percent is 15% because the net profit is 15% based on the selling price. So that is the situation. All right. So let's move to the next example. Okay, the next example states that the Sweet Garden Company bought 80 roses at 8 ringgit each and 40 sunflowers at 6 ringgit each. The company wanted a net profit of 15% based on the cost, and the operating expenses for all the flowers are 10% based on the cost for all the flowers. So in this case, the question asks you for the total because if you see the first question, they ask you to find the total selling price, and then you have to find the second one, you have to find the gross profit. It doesn't say any, it doesn't have the word total, but it says that for all the flowers. Same thing with the third one, break-even price for all the flowers. And lastly, you are looking for the maximum percentage of markdown that can be offered without incurring any loss. So this is another way of saying that you are looking for the maximum markdown percent. Okay. Okay, because at the maximum markdown percent, you will not incur any loss. Okay. Okay, let's see how we can solve this problem. So the first one is to find the selling price. So you want the total selling price. So that means it is wise to convert everything to total. So the total cost here is actually 80 ringgit, 80 roses multiplied with 8 ringgit plus the 40 sunflowers multiplied with the 6 ringgit. So you get a total cost of 880 ringgit. And then the net profit is simply equal to the 15% based on cost. So that means 0.15 multiplied with 880, you get 132. And the operating expenses is 10% based on cost. So it is 0.1 multiplied with 880. So you get the values to be 88. So using the formula SP equal to C plus OE plus NP, because you have all these value, so you can find that you found that the selling price, the selling price or the total selling price for all the flowers is actually equal to 1,100 ringgit. Okay, so that is the total selling price. Okay, let's see the next one. So the next one asks you to find the markup, right? So to find the gross profit. So the gross profit is given by the operating expenses plus the net profit. So you have both values available. So it gives you the gross profit or the markup to be equal to 220. Okay. The next one asks you to find the break-even price. So this is given by the cost plus the operating expenses. So adding 880 cost plus the 88 ringgit operating expenses, you get the break-even price to be 968. Alright. So the last part of the questions asks you to find the maximum percent markdown or the percentage markdown without incurring any loss. So you need to find the maximum markdown value. So that is given by SP minus BE, that is 1100 minus 968, you get 132. So this is equivalent, if you notice here, SP minus BE is equivalent to 132. That is also equivalent to the net profit, right? So you can also replace this formula by NP divided by SP if you have the value of NP. Okay, so you have 132 divided by 1100 multiplied with 100%. So you get the values to be 12%. Okay, so that is the solutions for the example 4. All right. So we have another example here. So I just want you to go through this example yourself and look at the solutions. Okay, try to solve it. Okay, so try to solve it first and then check your solution with these slides. And also there will be one question for you to do your exercise yourself. And this one they don't have any solution, so that means you can check the solution with me later. All right, so that's it for the second video on the topic of mathematics of retailing. Okay, so hopefully this gives you some clarifications on how you can solve the problems, okay, related to the topic of mathematics of retailing. And hopefully you can answer all the other questions under the past semester exam papers. Okay, until we meet again, thank you very much. All the best to all of you. Okay guys, I hope you have enjoyed the videos presented so far. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up by clicking the like button below. Do share the videos with others. And lastly, remember to subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell so that you will get notified as soon as a new video is released. Thank you and all the best.